11:35 on a Big Show clock. Bob Quinn on the Big Show today. Wayne Murley with us. Nathan Fisher, all in our seats, ready to start talking farm here on the Big Show. We're being brought to you right now by the Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance. Clean water in Iowa starts here. You bet it does. And this is another Clean Water Wednesday. Secretary of Agriculture Mike Naig is going to be joining us in just about an hour from right now. He is out looking at some oxbow restoration, I believe, being done. Another one of the clean water projects going on here in the state of Iowa. As we started the wetland wave last year, we're going to start talking about oxbow restoration as well. A lot of factors go into on-farm practices, and we like talking about those. Big thank you to the producers out there who are in on the installation of those things as well. Find out more about those at the Iowa Agriculture Water Alliance and their website. Brian Hoops on the telephone line with me right now, talking markets, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, we have the intended acreage report, I guess, coming up. I'll ask you about that. But first, what's our levels for crop insurance? What's our targets for crop insurance?
Hey, Bob, good to talk with you again. Yeah, we set those just, at the end of the month of February, last Friday. So corn is going to be $4.62. That's actually down a few pennies from a year ago, while soybeans was quite a bit higher than last year, $11.09 for soybeans. That's almost 50 cents better than a year ago. And spring wheat came in at $6.19. So when you step back and look at those levels, this rally that we've seen here has pretty much been a real godsend. We really needed it to get these insurance levels to these levels that are at, and these are much better than what they were, back in December, January. Gives us a pretty decent floor, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, as we go into the spring time frame. So, yeah, we have the acreage report at the end of the month on the 31st. We also have a supply and demand report coming out next Tuesday. That's not too many days away, and that'll be out at 11 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday. That is the 10th.
Going back to the levels for crop insurance, the bill that passed, funding bill that passed here earlier in the year, did have some specifications for some better levels of participation, I think, for crop insurance. In fact, some of the insurance guys are saying crop insurance is on sale this year.
Yeah, it may feel that way, and that's, I think, going to be really key for a lot of individuals, is to have that crop insurance this year as a form of a price floor or price guarantee. The farmer assistance payments are being sent out. I've heard some have received payments or maybe even partial payments, but that money's been set out, and we'll get some guarantee through this insurance program. So hopefully, farmers can have either a really good profitable year or at least hold things together through those guarantees.
Supply demand report. I guess we got a glimpse of what USDA is thinking about in the outlook meetings as far as corn soybean mix. But are we going to see any different news, you think, in the supply demand report?
No, I don't think we're going to see much in the way of any real changes. I think a lot of people are just going to be waiting for that acreage report at the end of the month. That's the one that could be kind of a big mover. This supply and demand report. The news wires are gathering their estimates now, but I don't think you're going to see much of the way of any significant changes from last month. Corn exports have been strong. They're on the pace that they need to hit to reach the USDA forecast, but we could actually see exports increase by 25 million bushels. We could see that in the wheat as well, maybe a small increase in exports there, because we're well above what we need to be on a weekly basis. Even though export sales for wheat are 12, 13 million bushels every week, we only need to be doing 3 to 5 million a week to reach that USDA threshold. So they have some room to adjust things a little bit there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. We saw EIA report out with daily ethanol production numbers this morning, and record highs once again for this week, and we're using a lot of corn. We only need to be averaging about 106 million bushels a week. We used over 109 million this week, so maybe they actually increase ethanol consumption as well in future reports.
Well, I want to ask you, because you have offices all the way up through the Dakotas. you think we're going to see any small grains added into the Dakotas in this planting, maybe projection?
We haven't heard a lot of talk about farmers switching small grains. Stats Canada has a report coming out tomorrow, and they expect wheat acres to be down just a little bit from last year. That's kind of interesting, I thought, but there's going to be a big jump in canola acres, mainly because what bean oil is doing. Canola kind of follows what bean oil does, and the canola oil byproduct from canola, it's going to increase acres there by about 1 million acres from a year ago. So, you may see some small grains in the U.S. kind of following the same pattern. That spring wheat price is pretty decent. That could buy a few acres as well, but usually we don't plant a lot of spring wheat anymore here in the United States. A lot of that's grown north of the border.
Well, Brian, we're going to visit with you again an hour and 10 minutes and get some targets moving forward. In the meantime, how can we find out more about Midwest Market Solutions?
Yeah, you can give me a call directly, 417-501-5132, and you can always go online to MidwestMarketSolutions.com.
All right, Brian Hoop's going to join us here in an hour and 10 minutes. MidwestMarketSolutions.com is where you find out more. We speak farm. This is the Big Show. 12:55 here on the Big Show clock. Brian Hoops with us. Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, since you and I talked last, cattle market has gone crazy here. We're $4 higher, like cattle April, June, and feeders are $7.50 higher April, May. What's going on cattle right now?
Yeah, they didn't start off steady. They started off stronger, and they have built gains as the morning has gone on into this noon hour. Yesterday's box beef closed sharply higher. It was higher at noon, and then yesterday afternoon it was over $6 higher, $6.71 higher actually in the choice, and higher again at midday. Not as strong, but about $1 or so in both the select and the choice. Given its ideas that these markets technically are oversold in cattle, we're heavily discounted to last week's cash rate. At one point, April cattle were in that 232, 233 range this week, and last week's cash rate was 244. That's a large discount, and the same thing happened in feeder cattle. $15+ discount to the feeder cattle index. That's the indication for cash for feeder cattle. Just too heavily discounted, and so we're narrowing that spread between the feeders and the cash, and cash could be fully steady this week. I think there was one time we thought it was going to be $2-3 lower. Packers trying to buy it at cheaper money, but with the board moving higher, starting to anticipate that cash fix could be at least steady. As the show list numbers, 210,000 head, and Packer margins are improving because they paid lower money for cash last week, and those boxes are moving higher. So some things are working in the positive direction early part of this week.
We're going to keep our eye on that. Looks like lean hogs moving higher. Is that kind of moving with cattle?
Yeah, I think so. They've had some strength in their cutout values as well. The hog market rallied in the summer months anyway. June up in the 112 range, had a pretty significant pullback into the 104 range. Now it looks like he's breaking out towards the upside, wanting to take a run back to those old highs around 112. And we're not that far away in that June contract. I do think 112 represents probably some fair market value. We'll see a lot of hedging pressure, a lot of selling pressure coming into the marketplace.
Got about a minute left. What are you looking at in corn and soybeans here the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think the last time I was on, we talked about some possible targets to sell into or to be doing some hedging, and we hit some of those. And so we started off at 465 on December corn, 470. I want to go up to 475 and keep adding those sales if the market keeps maturing. And same thing for soybeans. We're trading around 1130, which was one of our targets. Next target, I think, is around 1145. As you don't want to look back. It's 30 days from now or 45 days from now when you're planting the crops and see lower prices than what you have right now without at least selling something or part of your inventory or what you want to plant this year on these rallies. Last couple of years, the high's been made in February. We're early April. We're early March here now. not saying the high's in, but without some weather help this summer, we could be posting highs as we're putting in some nice premiums in those deferred contracts trying to buy acres.
Brian, folks want to talk markets with you, find out more about Midwest Market Solutions. How can they do that?
I would love to talk with somebody, 417-501-5132, or you can check us out online at MidwestMarketSolutions.com.
MidwestMarketSolutions.com. Thanks, Brian. Brian Hoops wrapping us up today. Nathan's going to keep an eye on the markets for 20 minutes or so. They'll close out. He'll have a report for you bottom of the hour.